All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back for another AI deep dive. I am so pumped for this one.
Me too. Yeah, AI is just everywhere these days, right?
It really is. It's like every time I turn around, there's some new breakthrough or some crazy headline about, AI taking over the world.
Yeah, like, are the robots really going to steal all of our jobs?
Right.
I mean, that's what everyone wants to know.
But we're going to try to answer that question today, at least get a little bit closer to understanding what's really going on with AI. And to do that, we've got an awesome mix of sources lined up for this deep dive. We've got a TED Talk from the CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, a couple of really insightful podcast episodes, a research paper that dives into a super cool AI application, and even some thoughts from a former U.S. Treasury Secretary, Larry Summers.
Wow, that's quite a lineup. It sounds like we're going to get a really well-rounded perspective on this.
Definitely. That's the goal. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how all these different perspectives connect and maybe even clash a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes those clashes are where the real insights come from.
Absolutely. So before we jump in, let me just ask you, what are you hoping to get out of this deep dive? Are you prepping for a meeting, trying to stay ahead of the curve, or just curious about how AI is shaping the world?
I think for me, it's a bit of all of those things, but mostly I'm just fascinated by the possibilities. Where is all of this heading? What does the future of AI really look like?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? And I think we're going to touch on some pretty mind-blowing possibilities today. We're going to talk about AI's rapid evolution, the need for human-centric values, the potential economic impact, and even some practical tips for developing AI tools.
It's amazing to think about how far AI has come just in the last few years. It wasn't that long ago that we were just dreaming about some of the things that are now becoming reality.
I know, right? And it's moving so fast that it's hard to keep up,
Hmm.
which is why I think it's so important to have these kinds of conversations, to really step back and try to make sense of it all.
Definitely. So, where should we start this AI adventure?
Well, I think a great place to begin is with that TED Talk by Sam Altman.
Hmm.
He really lays out the current state of AI and paints a pretty vivid picture of just how powerful this technology is becoming.
Oh, yeah. I watched that talk. It was incredible the way he talked about AI's ability to diagnose diseases from medical images even better than human doctors in some cases. It just blew my mind.
Yeah, that was a powerful example, wasn't it? And it really highlights the point that AI is no longer just some futuristic concept. It's already having a real impact on our lives, and that impact is only going to grow in the years to come.
No doubt. And, Altman doesn't shy away from the big questions either. He asks, how will society adapt to this incredibly powerful technology? It's a question that we all need to be thinking about.
Absolutely. But, while I agree that adapting is important, I also think we need to be thinking about how we can shape AI to meet our needs and
Yeah.
reflect our values.
Right. It's not just about reacting to what AI is doing, it's about proactively designing the future we want with AI.
Exactly. And that's something that Dr. Fei-Fei Li talks about really eloquently in the Tools and Weapons podcast. She's a leading AI scientist, and she really emphasizes the importance of human-centered values in AI development.
Yeah, she makes a really compelling argument about the role of curiosity-driven research.
Mhm.
Research that's not just focused on profits, but on exploring the unknown and pushing the boundaries of knowledge.
Right. And she believes that this kind of research is essential for ensuring that AI benefits humanity as a whole, not just a select few.
Absolutely. And she points to the history of government-funded research in areas like the internet and GPS as evidence that these kinds of investments can lead to truly transformative breakthroughs.
I think that's a really important point because sometimes it feels like the conversation around AI is dominated by big tech companies and their commercial interests.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, those companies are doing incredible work, but it's crucial to have other voices at the table too. Voices that are focused on the long-term societal implications of AI.
Couldn't agree more. So let's talk about those implications for a minute, specifically the economic impact of AI. This is something that Larry Summers really dives into in the NEJM AI Grand Rounds podcast.
Oh yeah, Summers doesn't mince words. He basically says that AI has the potential to reshape economics and society as we know it.
Yeah, he uses the example of AI managing entire supply chains, optimizing everything from production to delivery, which could lead to lower costs for consumers and businesses alike.
And he also talks about the potential for AI to create new jobs in industries that we can't even imagine yet.
Right. It's not just about job displacement. It's also about job creation, and that's something that often gets lost in the doom and gloom headlines.
Right. It's easy to get caught up in the fear, but we also need to be open to the possibilities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But Summers also injects a dose of reality into the conversation. He cautions us about the difficulty of predicting exactly how technology will unfold. things could go in unexpected directions, for better or worse.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so exciting and so nerve-wracking at the same time.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like we're standing on the edge of something truly transformative, but we don't know exactly where it's going to take us.
And that's why it's so important to be having these conversations, to be thinking critically about the future of AI, and to be actively shaping that future in ways that benefit all of humanity.
So we've talked about the big picture stuff, the potential of AI to reshape society and the economy. But let's zoom in for a minute and talk about a really cool example of AI being used to solve a specific problem that could make your life a bit easier.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So remember that POD tile research paper I mentioned earlier?
Yeah, the one that sounded a bit technical.
Yeah, well, the idea behind it is actually super user-friendly. It's all about using AI to make podcasts easier to navigate and find the information you're looking for.
Ah, I like where this. Tell me more.
So basically, the researchers have developed an AI model that can listen to podcasts and automatically generate chapters, kind of like a table of contents for each episode.
Wow, that would be amazing. You know how frustrating it is when you're listening to a podcast and you're trying to find that one specific piece of information and you have to like scrub through the whole thing?
Exactly. This
Yeah.
AI could totally solve that problem. It could basically create a map of each episode so you could jump right to the section you're interested in.
And I imagine this technology could have applications beyond podcasts too.
hmm
You know, think about lectures, online courses, even audiobooks. The possibilities are endless.
Absolutely. It's a great example of how AI can be used to enhance our experience with information and make our lives a little bit easier.
So we've covered a lot of ground here from the philosophical to the practical. What are your biggest takeaways from all of this?
Well, I think for me, the biggest takeaway is that AI is here to stay. It's not just some sci-fi fantasy anymore. It's a real force that's shaping our world in profound ways. And we need to be engaged in that conversation. We need to be thinking about the ethical implications, the economic impact, and the ways in which we can use AI to solve real-world problems.
I couldn't agree more. You know, it's easy to get overwhelmed by all the hype and the fear, but at the end of the day, AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It's up to us to decide how we want to use it.
And to leave you with something to ponder, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you could develop an AI tool to solve a problem or improve your life, what would it be? Let your imagination run wild and see where it takes you.
That's a great question. I'm going to have to give that some serious thought.
Me too. And remember, this deep dive is just a starting point. We encourage you to check out the full transcripts of these sources to learn even more happy exploring.
Thanks for taking us on this AI journey. It's been a fascinating ride.
Anytime until next time, stay curious and stay engaged in the world of AI.
See ya.
Yes.